This is Rockin' with J-Man, and today I'm doing an interview with Matt Zane. So how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And it's
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, it's my pleasure. So, Matt, I just want to get right into it. I want to start with the thing everybody's been talking about recently. You were making a documentary about Wayne Static, Tera, Wray. Why does the story need to be told now?
This was an original project that was conceived of in about maybe halfway through, a little more than halfway 2013. Wayne Static himself, during the last music video he ever did, which was a collaboration with DMC from Run DMC, I directed that music video. After the music video, he pulled me aside and he goes, "I'm going to be giving you a call in a week or two. I've got a project that I want to talk to you about." And when he finally did, it was about this project. It initially was going to be something along the lines of like a reality show docu-series, and then it eventually went in to become a documentary. Unfortunately, at that time, we were unable to get the funding for it, so we just planned on doing it later. And unfortunately, there was no later because Wayne passed away about a year after, about actually 11 months after the last time that we talked about it.
So Wayne Static fans are extremely protective. Static X fans are extremely protective. The families are protective. You are protective. So when everyone says that they are protecting Wayne, who actually gets to tell that story?
I think that it's totally within the right of Static X to tell their story as far as the way that they experienced it and their recollections. They have that right. Everything that that band did up until when they quit is, I think, totally legitimate. But this story, specifically, the last 7 years of Wayne's life, the last 8 years of Tara's, is their story that they wanted to be told. And they hired me to do it and they asked me to do it. For the people that don't know out there, Wayne called me for literally every video project that he did after Static X. If you look at the promos for Pig Hammer, if you look at the Assassins of Youth music video, if you look at the Noise Revolution video, I was a director on all of those. So really, there's only one person that makes logical sense to tell the story, but it's also the guy that they asked to do it. And that's where I feel that my authority comes from in order to get this story told.
When someone dies young and becomes a legend, do fans sometimes protect the version of them that they wanted to remember instead of the full person?
I mean, Wayne was one of those people that were just really special. He was an absolute star. He was a genius. I mean, everything from his music to his look to his demeanor. Everybody has their own version that they want to hold dear and make sacred. And then that gives people the belief that they know something more or have more of an authority than you do over the thing that's so personal to them. And I can completely understand that with somebody like Wayne. So yeah, I think that people they get incredibly protective, and they tend to draw their conclusions on their limited knowledge as well as association with that person. Again, the difference between me and a lot of those other people, most of them, is that I actually knew Wayne. I knew Tera before Wayne. I worked with Wayne. Yeah, I have a ton of footage with Wayne that nobody else has. So it's a very unique project in that respect.
Is this documentary really about controversy or is it more about unfinished business?
I don't necessarily think that it's meant to be controversial. I mean, the people that are making it controversial is his old band members. I mean, the fact of the matter is that he didn't like nor did he talk to his ex band members for the last 5 years of his life. He was barely talking to them the previous 2 years. And they're the ones that are kind of pushing out this narrative that it's this big controversial thing, that what I'm creating is going to be disrespectful and doesn't really honor Wayne. But in actuality, what I'm doing is going to honor Wayne and Tera more than they plan to and are doing, because I'm not trying to make a new show with a robot and bubbles and puppets and beach balls. I'm actually trying to give you the story about Wayne and Tera, which is what he ultimately wanted. And I think that's really one of the main tells in all of this, is that the band isn't representing Tera or respecting her in any way, shape, or form. If anything, they're kind of relegating her to a minor part and blaming a lot of his perceived downfall on her. So in reality, like, it's not meant to be controversial, but it is because of what the band and the management is doing.
What do you think people get wrong about Wayne's final years?
that it was just a endless downward spiral of drug use
Mhm.
and misery and suffering. Uh, I'm not going to say there wasn't bad moments,
Yeah.
but the fact that people think that it was the worst, darkest 7 years of his life is completely preposterous. If anybody was really there, which a lot of them weren't, some of the best times and probably the highest moment of his life was after or around when Pig Hammer was going to come out. He was off the pills. He was finally solo. He looked great. He sounded great. He was incredibly happy. They had moved up to the desert at that point. They had gotten rid of their house in Burbank in LA. And it was just a really amazing and positive time for his life. And even during the moments when he was struggling, there was these really great moments. He was so happy and proud to work with DMC. I mean, it was really a great highlight, of his musical career. He was so excited about it. How do I know? Because he called me when I was driving through Topanga Canyon one night and was like screaming at the other end of the phone that we were going to be doing a video with him. So I think the main misconception is because, again, it's put out by the old band members that his life was just complete and total shit the last 7 years, and it just wasn't. It's just not the truth. Yes, it ended, unfortunately, very badly, but that doesn't mean that that's what it was like for 7 years straight.
What do you think people get wrong about Tara?
People get everything wrong about Tera. Everything that you hear, everything that you read, it's all wrong. Here's the other thing that people just don't realize. I knew Tera a year before Wayne knew Tera. And people think that she's the one that put Wayne on drugs, gave him the drugs. Wayne was doing drugs before Tera came into the picture. I've got people on film admitting it, talking about it. That's number one. Number two, people, say that she was just like the result of all these issues and all these problems within the crew, within the band. But what they fail to realize is that behavior that she exhibited was a result of the way that the crew and the band were treating her. They never gave her respect as a person. They always treated her as some washed up old adult video star that didn't reserve the respect as Wayne's wife and as a person. And that's where a lot of the conflicts and the agitation started to come out in between her and everybody else. When I knew Tera, and I show it in my movie, she was just like a normal, happy, bubbly girl that loved to laugh, that everybody loved her that was around, because everybody didn't have an ulterior motive or an agenda to try to get her away from me, like they did with Wayne. And that was really the problem. Wayne changed, they blamed Tera, and they just went after her, and then she, in turn, reacted.
What was Wayne like when there was no cameras, no stage, no anything, and it was just him?
That he, I always say this, but if I had to imagine what it was like to hang out with Jim Morrison, that's what it was like to hang out with Wayne Static. I cannot tell you how cool he was, and how real he was, and how aware he was, and how smart he was as a person. And we spent some incredibly, profound moments together. One that comes to mind is I was up at his house one 4th of July up in the desert, and it was just me and him at one point, and the girls were off somewhere else because it was just me, him, Tera, and my girlfriend at the time, and we were just sitting in lawn chairs looking at the fireworks, listening to Pig Hammer for the first time, just sitting down, just talking to each other, talking about life and accomplishments and things of that nature. And let me tell you, man, like there's nothing like sitting under the desert sky with fireworks going off, talking to Wayne Static. Like I wouldn't say he was necessarily spiritual, but he was spiritual just in his mere presence. A very powerful and unique individual.
So, did making this documentary change the way you remember them at all?
Not really, because I have so much footage that anything that I thought that I may have misconstrued
You can
was
just,
right
yeah.
there to see when I watched the footage. And I'm still reliving it. I'm still making the documentary. It's long. It's about 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes. And so it wasn't like I read anything or saw anything that made me question what I initially thought about them back then versus 10, 12 years later. And that was kind of an interesting thing because a lot of the stuff that I saw him talk about that later would pop up in interviews. So, I mean, it was Wayne Static across the board. Some of the things that we would discuss, you'd later see him talk about in interviews. He was the same guy. And then some of the stuff that we discussed that I'll never divulge because it was a little too personal or doesn't necessarily fall in line with what he wanted to discuss in this film, you know, it still was very much who he was and how I remembered him. Do you know? So it was, there was no real surprises in that respect.
Was there a moment during the process where you thought it would be too personal?
There's a couple things, and there are things that I am leaving out of the movie. Absolutely. I know more than 99% of the people out there. Nah, maybe not. Yeah, 99 probably. So yeah, there's things, there's conversations, there's certain facts that I am leaving out of the movie. But you have to remember, Wayne and I talked about this for 2 months straight. So I have a very good idea of what he wanted in and what he didn't want in. And the things that I feel that he didn't want in, I'm leaving out. So there's definitely a guide there. And there is some gray area that I'm a little, it's not as cut and dry as some of the other things. So I'm just using my best judgment in terms of what I feel that he would have thought on those specific situations.
Okay. Are you excited to release this documentary?
Yeah, I am so excited. I'm excited because it's something that I promised I would get done with them, and we never got to finish it. And I'm excited because I want people to see it, and I want to give Wayne and Tera their voice back because unfortunately it's getting lost. Wayne Static had a Facebook page. The manager for Static X convinced the estate to take it down, and that was up for the last 12 years. And they just took it down because it unfortunately supported the narrative of my movie. So you've taken away a big part of Wayne Static's voice by taking that down. I want to give that back. Right now they're trying to take down, they did take down a music video and a music song in a video that he collaborated with Michael Johnston from Mephisto Odyssey, the Crash song, 1.7 million views. They got that taken down. So they're silencing him on that respect. They're not allowing the release of a lot of his music. They're silencing him in that respect. I can't wait for it to come out because I want to give Wayne and Tera their voice back, and I hope the family watch it and then come around and agree to allow some of this music to come out that the band that Static X and Unauthorized Dope won't allow to come out.
What is the line between honoring someone and exposing too much?
I mean, I think that as a filmmaker, you've got to make that decision. But thankfully, in this case, I have a lot of guidance from Wayne himself because it's something that we discussed when he was still alive. And I kind of knew what he was going for when we initially set out on this project.
Have you had to remove anything because it may be true and it felt like it crossed the line?
Yeah, like I said, there's parts of the movie that I'm leaving out. There's things that I know about Wayne that I'll never discuss with anybody ever. There's like one or two people that also know those same things that I may talk about it with, but yeah, there's things that you just don't put in, you know? And you also have to you have to cover certain topics with respect, such as the drug use, because we all know that it's real. It's obviously what he died of accidentally. You have to cover it because it's part of the story, but you don't have to do it in a gratuitous way and make it to the point where it's completely in bad taste to exploit it for viewership. You just have to really be careful. The ultimate goal is really to show the human side of these people as well as get Wayne and Tera's message out there.
So there already is the official Static X documentary, Evil Disco: The Rise and
Yes.
Fall. So why does yours have to exist separately?
Most people don't know this. I actually shot and edited 85% of Evil Disco, the official documentary. The band hired me to do that. So I already saw the edit that existed up until last year. I know what's in that movie. And that movie is about Wayne. It's about Tony, Koichi, Ken, Edsel Dope. It's about all those guys. And it's only about an hour and 15 minutes long, hour and 20 minutes long. And how are you going to talk about a legend like Wayne Static in an hour and 20 minutes when you're also talking about Edsel Dope, Tony, Koichi, and Ken? especially when you're focusing a lot of that movie on the new band, the new iteration of Static X. So it's completely different than what I'm doing. My movie is about Wayne Static and Tera. Their movie touches on Tera, but it talks about her in a very poor light, as most people do, because it's the way that they feel, and that's their right. But that's not Wayne's vision of the way that he would have talked about his own wife. I'm here to tell you about the way that Wayne wanted you to see Tera. And he trusted me to do so because I knew Tera before him. So I have even a larger view of Tera than even Wayne himself did. So I'm the only guy that could truly tell a full rounded and real version of who she was as a person.
What would fans maybe misunderstand if they only watched your documentary?
I don't think they misunderstand anything other than the fact of the perception of the other band members. Because it's not their perception. Obviously, they're not going to understand the way they felt if they only watch my movie. But again, I'm not here to placate or make their vision into a reality. I did that with their movie already, and they can do whatever they want to do with that movie. I'm here to tell the story of Wayne and Tera, and that's the main goal. It's not even about the narrative that I would take. It's about them and only them.
Do you think fans are being forced to pick a side when maybe both projects are telling different pieces of the same puzzle?
Yeah, I think that the band, Etzel Dope, the management, Zero, they're definitely trying to force people to say, don't listen to this, don't watch this, don't look at this. And they're pulling down everything they can in support of it. Everything from Wayne's Facebook page to blocking people that ask about it on official networks or fan pages. And it is causing a division, and it is trying to make people choose between two sides when in actuality you don't need to. Why don't you watch both movies and make up your mind in the end? But Static X and Etzel Dope don't want to give the power or that choice to the fans.
Does one side own the music story while the other one owns more of a personal story, or is it kind of almost impossible to separate them?
Well, look, I mean, if you're talking about actual music, Warner Brothers owns a lot of the music.
Mhm.
Um, the estate owns everything that's not on Warner Brothers. Even though I collaborated with Wayne, I don't own any of the music. In the movie, there is Crash by Mephisto Odyssey
Mhm.
and Michael Johnston. There's also a track by Nine Electric that Wayne sang on, Destroy As You Go. So there is some music. But as far as if you're asking more in terms of what focuses more on the music, I would have to say that it's probably more Evil Disco, because as much as I do focus on music, Wayne was so much more than music. I focus more in terms of their relationship, their love, as well as the music, as well as their passions. I talk about, his house up in the desert, the dirt house, his love for off-roading, things of that nature, just to give you a more full, well-rounded view of who he was as a person.
If the official documentary is about the rise and fall and regeneration of Static X, what is your documentary really about in one sentence?
My documentary about is how do I really couldn't say it in one sentence, but let me just tell you, it's about giving them their humanity and their voice back.
Do you think the official documentary can go places emotionally that yours cannot?
Oh, absolutely not. No,
Okay.
no, because I saw the interviews, unless they shot new interviews. But I saw the band's interviews. I shot all the band's interviews, all of them. I'm the guy that shot it. Like when you see those interviews, I'm the guy behind the camera. Edsel, Tony, Koichi, Ken. I shot all those. And let me tell you, here's the problem with that. Ken didn't talk to Wayne, the drummer, for 14 years before he died. Koichi didn't talk to him for 5 years before he died. Tony didn't talk to him 5 years before he died. They're missing massive chunks in his life. I think Etzel talked to Wayne a total of 10 times in the last 14 years that he's alive. That's a lot of emotional capacity that you are missing out on when you're cutting out that much of somebody's life. So I don't necessarily know how you could even imagine to get, any more depth out of theirs versus mine. I was in their life all the way up until pretty much the end. I wasn't around as much in the last year, but Definitely a lot more than any of those guys.
Would these documentaries be stronger if they work together, or is that technically or just impossible now?
I think it would be impossible, and they were never meant to be worked together. I initially approached them when we were shooting Evil Disco and said, "Look, guys, you're telling your story. I'll help you tell it, but you let me tell Wayne and Tera's story afterwards." And they said, "Absolutely." So it was supposed to be two. It was supposed to be the official, then the unofficial. It didn't really stop and have an issue until I finally got offered a deal to make my movie after I came out with my last film last year. And then Etzel Dope came in and then completely nuked the deal and stopped it and prevented it from happening.
Do you think these became two documentaries because there are two different truths, or because they're just two different missions, you could say?
I think they split up because that other documentary is told from everybody else's perspective and what happened in their life, like their subjective life. And again, you're losing Wayne and Tera's voice by it being told through these four other guys. That's why there has to be two, because Wayne was getting lost. They're just saying, well, this happened and that happened, and this is the way that people thought about it. And I'm saying, okay, cool. But over here, this is the way that Wayne and Tera told it.
So the word unauthorized scares people. Fans hear it and think this is wrong, this is shady, or this is disrespectful. What does unauthorized actually mean in this case?
Well, it doesn't have the estate's approval, so it's unauthorized. But for people that are questioning about the nature of unauthorized documentaries, if you go up to YouTube right now, you will see 4 to 5 documentaries about Wayne Static and Tera Wray that are unauthorized. So they're all over the place already. Mine is the exact same as those, but mine is the only one that's being attacked legally and through social media and from the band and the management.
Does unauthorized mean the story is false, or does it simply mean that, well, you just said that it doesn't just have official approval?
Yeah, from the estates.
Yeah. Do you think fans understand the difference between legal authorization and personal truth?
Probably not. I mean, people are just so caught up in the fact that as of now, the families are against it. But what everybody doesn't realize is that the families were totally fine with me up until Etzel turned them against me. I saw Wayne's sister last year. I was in the screening with Evil Disco with her, talked to her afterwards, no problems. Tera's mother used to write me on Instagram, thanking me for the nice things I'd say about Tera. So the fans don't get it. They hear that it's unauthorized. They think that I'm just this guy that just popped up, that I never had anything to do with anything. And in reality, I'm a guy that's been doing all the Static X videos, giving them the footage to use of Wayne and all the Static X videos, shooting the official documentary, knew them and was closer to them than in the last 7 years of their life than any of those guys. But fans don't want to hear it. They just want to believe the lies that the band and the management are spreading.
If you believe Wayne and Tara wanted this, but the families object, where does that leave you morally?
My only thoughts about that are I'm doing this because of what Wayne and Tera wanted.
Mhm.
So morally, I don't have an issue with it because it's not like I just woke up one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
I just said, "Oh, well, this is what Wayne and Tera wanted." But here's the funny part about that: go up to YouTube. There's 5 other documentaries right now that are unauthorized. Why isn't anybody them writing them and giving them such a hard time and sending so much hate and having such a visceral reaction to it? I'm the only one that they decided to kind of come down on.
Why do you think they did that?
I think because mine's going to be more truthful and revealing than anything that anybody else can do, because nobody was really a constant within those last 7 years except me and a few other people. Ashes, his guitar player, was there the last 7 years. Jay Jones, the tattoo artist, my ex-girlfriend. There were some people, but there were very far and few between that made it those entire 7 years throughout the entirety of that time with Tera.
How do you respond to people who say if the families didn't want it, then it should not happen?
I understand where they're coming from, but again, my obligation is to Wayne and Tera. It's not to the families.
Okay. Is the biggest fight here legal, emotional, or just personal?
There's going to be a legal fight the
Yeah.
moment that it comes out. I'm sure I'm going to get sued.
Are you scared of that, or are you ready for it?
No, I mean, I expect it to happen. They've already sent me the cease and desist letters.
You
You know,
haven't.
Static X is a multi-million-dollar corporation. You know, yearly it makes that much, and they have plenty of money to sue me, so I'm sure they will. So I'm prepared for that. Um, but you know, what are you going to do? I mean, sometimes you got to put your foot down and you got to do what you know is right.
What criticism of this project actually made you stop and think?
Um, I was gonna put in music that Wayne had written and given me for another project, but then when I realized that that would be the easiest way for me to get sued through copyright infringement, I realized that I had to back off on the music really fast.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, even though I do have some real Wayne Static songs from collaborations from other people like Michael Johnson of Mephisto Odyssey and Nine Electric, Destroy As You Go, a lot of the music is more like knockoff music. It's just music in the style of, so
Yeah,
therefore I can still have music in the movie. But that's very typical of unauthorized documentaries. You could go up to Prime Video right now and there's 10 of them on Led Zeppelin and it's all fake Led Zeppelin music. But that's the only way I could get music in the film without getting sued immediately and losing.
what criticism do you think is completely unfair?
Just about everything that I've heard
Yeah,
from
I guess.
people. um, the funny thing is that so many people have all these opinions, and I read them, and I want to ask them. I wish I could call them and talk to every single one of them and say, "Hey, you know, I appreciate your opinions, but you never knew Wayne and Tara, or maybe you took a picture with them, or maybe you saw them once here.
But you don't.
But did you ever go to their house in Burbank? Did you ever go to their house at the Dirt House? Did you ever go to the rehearsal room? Did they ever come over to your house? Did you ever work together on multiple projects? You know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that they never did with them. And yet they have this incredibly strong opinion on how I should be doing what I'm doing, or if I should be doing it. And it makes no sense to me because it's just kind of like saying, I met, I mean, dude, I met, who did I just meet the other day? I met Kiss the other day when I worked for them. I
Oh,
worked for Kiss twice. Could you imagine if because I worked for Kiss twice and hung out with them for a couple hours on each time and have pictures with them, that I started chiming in online about telling the people how to make their documentaries or how
yeah.
people should write their books about them? Could you imagine that? Like a guy that worked with Kiss twice and met them twice? That's what a lot of these people are the equivalent of. It's like I just feel like telling them, hey guys, maybe you should relax a little bit and leave these type of things to people that actually knew Wayne and Tara and not just knew about them through the press and through what you heard from the other band members or other people or what you saw of them one night. Because that is something that does happen. Sometimes people will say, oh, I saw Wayne and he was all messed up. Or, oh, I saw Tara and she was a bitch. Okay, maybe that really did happen. But how many times did you see Wayne besides that?
Mhm.
How many times did you see Tara be a bitch besides that? You saw them on one night, one time, maybe two times? Well, I saw them over the course of 7 years. And I actually met Wayne in 1996. So are you going to listen to people that have these very, simple and, for lack of a better, term, menial experiences and just judging somebody from one occurrence, or
Mhm.
somebody that actually saw these people and was in their homes? I mean, it makes sense to me, but people still are fighting it. But again, I think a lot of that fight is coming because of the fact of what Etzel Dope, the management, and the guys from Static X were putting out there.
Do you feel like some people heard the word unauthorized and just completely just not listening and was like, I don't want nothing to do with this?
No, I think they heard it. I don't think they stopped listening. I think they just went on the attack.
I see.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. All you got to do is just go through my comments. I'm afraid to tell you this, but this last month, what month are we in right now? May.
Yeah.
Um, my
No.
fa- my Facebook got 1.8 million views last month on this movie, and most of that was just from people that claim they're not going to watch it or support it. So obviously they're still watching. They're just attacking at the same time.
So, if Wayne and Tara's families watched the finished film, what would you want them to feel, even if they still disagreed with you?
I don't think that they're going to have an issue with it after they watch it because I don't think they realize what's actually in the film. You got to remember, the only thing they know is what Edsel Dope told them is going to be in the movie. So as far as I know, or you know, or anybody knows, he could have told them, oh, it's all them just doing drugs and debauchery and nudity and being this and that or whatever. And they have no idea what's really in the movie. They don't realize that there's a lot of good times and good footage in the movie, as well as all the controversial things, or the things that could be conceived as controversial. So I hope they watch it, and I think they're really going to enjoy watching their son and their daughter be seen in that respect. Happy, young, smiling. The footage is restored. The audio is restored. It's all being brought up to 4K resolution. A lot of this footage, even the stuff that I have rights to use that is already on YouTube, is being restored up to look beautiful and current and new. Imagine being able to see your son and daughter in that respect again. And so I really feel that it's going to be a positive outlook. And I think they're going to look more at Edsel Dope at that point and go, why did you mislead us and tell us that this was just this one thing when clearly it's the other?
Do you think there's ever a chance where you, the estate, the families, Static X could all be on the same page, or do you think it's gone just way too far?
I hope that I can be on the same page with the families, Wayne and Tara's families. I really do. I really hope so because I know that there's unreleased music out there that I want to give to the fans. And the families are the ones that aren't allowing to do it. And I'm telling the families, I'll give you all the money. You know what I mean? So I hope that we can come to an agreement. As far as the band and the management, Edsel Dope /Zero, I don't think so. They really did a number on me by using and utilizing my talents to get their movie done for next to no money, paying me less than minimum wage, and then trying to stop this movie from being done when it was all out in the open for the last 2 years. So I don't really necessarily see that we could get along. And plus, I don't really like the way that they're representing Wayne now either. I mean, look, if they came out there and said, hey, Edsel Dope's the new singer, and this is just what we're doing now, I would have no problems with it. But they're trying to say that it's a memorial to Wayne, but they've got bubbles and robots and puppets, and they're making movie music videos about, like Zombie, about Wayne being a brain dead zombie and having it all be Tera's fault and feeding him drugs. And I just don't agree with all that.
So there has been talk about unreleased Wayne Static music. What can you actually use and not use?
I can't use any of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't use any of it. That's why I told the family, hey, you want to get this stuff done? Let's just give you all the money. The only thing I want is for the family to allow the music to be in its original form. Don't let the guys from Static X and Edsel get it and pull Wayne's vocals off it and rewrite the music and take half the publishing and put it out as the Static X record. It was recorded as a Wayne Static solo material. Let it be released as Wayne Static solo material.
So there has also been talk about Wayne's voice in AI. Where do you personally draw the line?
Well, Wayne never gave his approval of,
Yeah.
because AI didn't exist, so he wouldn't have been able to do it. I could just tell you that what we're trying to do, and what I mean by what we're trying to do, producer Michael Johnson of Mephisto Odyssey, we're in any time that we've got Wayne's voice, we're trying to pull it off the tracks and then restore it to the best of our ability. And that's the way that we're handling it as far as working with the tracks that we have. But again, we can't release them because we don't have the permission from the family. But we're working on them though.
Do you regret that AI has even became part of the public conversation around the documentary?
No, well, yeah. Oh, around my documentary, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that the rumor is that I'm making AI clips of Wayne and Tera, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
All the footage is real, and I'll go to court over it. To be honest with you, like I'll bring in the old DV tapes and show the old tapes and show where they came from. So anybody that says says otherwise, I'll absolutely go to court to prove it that it's actually footage of them.
What would you do? What would you never do with Wayne's voice, image, or even unfinished work? Just never release it?
No, I would love to release all of it if it's good. I just want to do right by Wayne. I have certain songs that he wrote that he's actually playing on that don't have his vocals on it that I would like to get other singers to go on just to get his music out there. If it's good, you know, I just want it to be good. I want it to be at the level that his music deserves.
Do you think technology has made it harder to protect that artist?
Not really, because when people make those AI songs, people know they're AI songs. They're not released as official releases.
Hmm.
Uh, so no, I don't think. I think the only time it would ever become difficult is when anybody could just make like a new Van Halen song or a new Marilyn Manson song, and it's not really them, and legally release it. But that's just, I don't think we're ever really going to get to that point. You need the artist's permission or the estate's permission.
If Wayne left behind unfinished ideas, is finishing them tribute or interference? And who should decide that?
Yeah, that's a tough question, man. I mean, like, that's exactly what the guys from Static X did. They went in with his unfinished ideas and finished them. Unfortunately, what they did is they actually took finished songs and then just deconstructed them and then made their own music to them, songs that Wayne already approved and finished. And that's not right. But I think finishing up stuff that isn't quite complete, I think if it's done with people that actually worked with Wayne when he was alive, I think there's some leeway there. So for example, Michael Johnson from Mephisto Odyssey, he wrote Crash with Wayne Static. He wrote the second version of Push It with Wayne Static. He did multiple remixes for Wayne Static. Here's a guy that worked with Wayne more than anybody outside of the Static X camp. So if there's any unfinished music or reimagining of music, it should be somebody like that guy, because he knew what it was like to work with Wayne. He knew Wayne's preferences. Wayne knew Michael. He liked what he was doing. So in that respect, somebody like him should be working with the unfinished, unreleased, and reimaginations and remixes of Wayne music. Not somebody like Edsel Dope, who never collaborated with Wayne, who never worked with Wayne, that never performed on stage with Wayne. Wayne never contacted him for any of that. But Michael's the perfect guy for it. More suited for it even than me. I worked on 3, 4, 5 songs with Wayne, all half ideas sitting in my hard drive. But Michael, completed songs, part of the camp, he was in there. Real producer. That's the way that I feel about it.
So Static X has continued in a very unique way with X Zero. How do you honestly view that?
When they originally came out, I thought, you know what? This almost feels like a real memorial.
Huh.
It feels like something Wayne would kind of like. I was very on the fence about the original band because Wayne didn't want to do it with Tony, obviously. But then I thought, they're really putting a lot into this. We're making the videos. We have these songs with Wayne. It wasn't until after the first iteration of Static X, until they went into the robot era,
Uh-huh.
that I was like, this is not what I imagined when you said you were going to be honoring Wayne.
Yeah.
You've got a robot up there, which I get it is supposed to be the machine, but it's not Wayne anymore. Whereas the persona prior was like a silhouetted guy with a mask on that was supposed to be Wayne. You've got bubbles, you've got dancing puppets, you've got beach balls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, Wayne wouldn't want any of that stuff. And you know how I know he wouldn't want any of that? Because he didn't have it when he was Wayne Static and he was here. He would have done it. You don't think that at the peak of Wayne's career he couldn't have had bubbles and beach balls? There's a reason why he didn't have that goofy shit up on stage with him, because he didn't want that stuff. So really, to be clear here, when it shifted away from Wayne is when I started taking issue to it with it, and why I don't think Wayne would like it. It's not just a big hate fest on those guys. It's just so far removed from an actual memorial now that they should just call it something else and just do something else.
Do you think a band can continue after losing someone as visually and vocally iconic as Wayne Static?
Yeah, because bands do it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
look,
Uh,
Freddie Mercury, was impossible to replace until Adam Lambert came around. And they're great, and he's a phenomenal vocalist, and it's a great show. But you got to see, man, like, when Adam Lambert goes up there to perform with Queen, you know, they don't all of a sudden have dancing puppets around on stage and
Bubble.
all this stuff that they didn't do with Freddie Mercury. Yeah, the stage show is augmented from where it was to make it contemporary, but they didn't change the point where Freddie Mercury wouldn't recognize his own goddamn band. And that's what Static X did to Wayne. If Wayne could see what it is, he'd look at that band and go, "What is this? This is like a kid's cartoon theme show or something. There's big bobble-headed puppets dancing around. I mean, think about that. The show starts off with a pumpkin puppet.
Do you think fans accept it because they love the music, or because they miss Wayne, or just because they want the party to continue?
I think the fans accepted it because they really believed the hype behind the fact that Wayne really wanted Etzel to do this. He wanted Etzel to be the new singer in the New Zero. It was a big false narrative built on an imaginary conversation that happened between two people that were barely acquaintances, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker when the families got behind it because somehow they convinced the families as well. And I think that's partially why the fans got into it. Secondly, I will give credit to the band. I think initially when they came out with, Wayne, what was supposed to be Wayne, but deceased with the hair and put him in the silhouetted lights, people wanted to go see Wayne again. And the band gave you Wayne the best to their ability. Even to the extent that they had all his high screams on tape. So you were hearing Etzel Zero sing low, but then you heard Wayne actually coming through the speakers. You thought you were looking at Wayne with the guy with the mask on, and so people were like really getting into it. But then they pulled a bait and switch on people. Then they came out again with all that goofy shit. And now it's not about Wayne anymore. But people are still kind of like, well, it's a cool show, and it was about Wayne, and I guess they're all friends, and they just fell for it, and they just kind of got hoodwinked and went with it.
Do you think the zombie mask thing is kind of crazy? Like, do you think that's just
I
like,
was totally on the fence about it, but again, you got to remember, I thought they put the guy with the zombie mask up there, but they don't put a lot of light on him.
yeah,
So you see the hair, and you want to go hear Wayne's voice and imagine it's Wayne and get into it. I didn't really think that much about the mask because to me it was more like, as long as the focus is Wayne, as long as it's about what Wayne wanted, Wayne's voice, Wayne's music, Wayne's image, then I'm gonna let some of the other things pass. Again, my issue is when it switched away from Wayne.
yeah. I mean, I understand that. I just like kind of think the zombie mask is just kind of just like that shit crazy. Like I would understand if they had like a wig on and it would like make it seem like Wayne, but it was like more of like a faceless kind of character kind of thing. Like, and it was like all black where his face should be. I feel that would be better than just having like a zombie mask like that.
Yeah, a lot of people felt that the zombie thing went a little too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I'm not going to disagree with it, and I'm not even going to say that I'm not. I didn't have anything to do with creating that zombie mask. That was none of me, none of my creative input whatsoever. But at least it was still focused towards Wayne. You
I
could disagree with how you presented Wayne, but it was still Wayne. The robot is not. It's supposed to be another guy that's taking over for Wayne. That's the issue. A lot of people say, no, Wayne morphed into a robot. No, 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 no. They're trying to make a character that is separate, that's going to move on and go beyond and forget about the Wayne era of Static X.
Did people appreciate him more after he was gone, or do you think he got the respect he deserved when he was still alive?
Towards the end of his life, I don't think people appreciated him as much as they should have.
Yeah.
But there were times in his career where they did. I would be out with him in 2007, 8, 9, not so much 9. But people were just like, I mean, you would think he was Michael Jackson when we go out in public. I mean, it was crazy. But
Mhm.
yeah, was there a lack of respect towards the end? Absolutely, yes. And I don't think people realize what a genius and what an amazing individual they lost until he was gone, until they felt that absence. And it's really unfortunate that it occurred like that. And he felt it and he knew it. And he was very upset about a few things at the end of his life. And he was fighting to get that respect back and that recognition back, which he felt was taken from him by Tony, his old bass player. So, yeah, people now are recognizing it more, but now the guys in Static X are trying to shift the focus to a different entity, to a robot, versus the genius of Wayne Static. So they're trying to do it to him all over again. And I'm here to say, no, don't do it again. Like, I want to put a movie out and hopefully some music and say, no, focus back onto Wayne and what he wanted. Don't let those guys do it to him again.
Um, Take me back before all the controversy. How did you first meet Wayne?
I initially met Wayne through Koichi. Koichi was in my friend's band, and they were really good, but he quit that band to join Static X. They were only called Static back then, and I couldn't believe it. So it just so happened that they were rehearsing down the hall from us in a place called Downtown Rehearsal. So I initially was incredibly curious about who the hell this band could be that Koichi joined. So I would go down the hall and put my ear up against the door and listen to what the hell they were doing. And then I ended up meeting Tony and Ken, and I already knew Koichi, and then ultimately ended up meeting Wayne. I actually had a bit more of a relationship with Tony and Ken. They would come to my shows and my parties and so on and so forth, and obviously, was friends with Koichi. Wayne and I were friendly, but we weren't super close back then. I did film Wayne officially for the first time in 1999, so we had started our relationship in terms of me filming him very, very early on, but we didn't get very close until around 2007.
What did Wayne see in you creatively?
I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I was as amazed as you were or anybody else was when he asked me to direct all his stuff for him starting in 2010. I couldn't believe it. I talk about it in the movie. He could have chosen anybody. He was huge at this point. This was coming off a Cult of Static. But he chose me. He saw something in me and we tried and it worked. And he just kept calling me back. And that didn't happen with everybody else. He tried to shoot a music video with another director for Z28 off of Cult of Static. And it never got released because Wayne didn't like it. He didn't like working with the director. And the director finally told him to fuck off. Yeah, because he was so tired of trying to get something that Wayne liked, and that just never was our working relationship. I think in all the things that we did, I think Wayne asked me to do one additional shot in Assassins of Youth, and that was it. So he obviously liked what I did and trusted me and only called me. We just worked well together. And he even trusted me to write lyrics and stuff for him at times. I've got emails where I sent him the scratch tracks for the song that we were working on together, where he wrote back to me and said, yeah, I really liked what you did with the song. I have proof of it. So I don't know. He just liked our working relationship. It's just something that worked out.
What do you think Tara saw in you?
I treated Tera like a human being. We were always friends. We were never together romantically. We were real friends. And I always respected her from the get-go. And when she was married to Wayne, I respected her in the way that you'd respect somebody's wife,
Yeah.
which was different than the way that I respected her even before. I never brought up the past of what we did and what we used to do in terms of our jobs. I never held her to it. I just saw her in this new light and treated her accordingly. And I think that she always appreciated that about me.
What is one memory with them both that still hits you pretty hard till this day?
There's a lot of memories, but the 4th of July up in the desert,
Yeah.
that was the one. If I ever had to pick a peak in his life, it was around that time. They were so positive, so happy. They weren't on pills. They were so optimistic about the future, so excited, so vibrant, so healthy. That was just an amazing night, an amazing memory. It's something that I'll cherish with me, until my last days. And, the conversations up there that evening were really super meaningful and very heartfelt and just tremendous depth, uh, and just filled with just, so much of soul, it's just so much soul. So that's just something that I always play back, in my mind.
Was there ever a conversation with Wayne that you keep replaying in your head?
Yeah, there's a couple. The ones up in the desert,
Yeah.
that time for sure. That plays in my head, probably more than any one conversation that we had. But there's others, just funny ones that don't mean as much, ones that do. There's just more times that I remember. Like I remember when he called me and said he was up the street and he's coming over.
Yeah.
And then he came over with Tera. Like I remember that a lot. I remember when we shot Assassins of Youth. It was 2 days up in the desert, up in this hotel, and we had adjoining rooms. And I remember that a lot. And I remember going bowling with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
do.
I remember going to a film premiere with them, and just various things like that. Oh, I remember, Vegas the day after they got married when I was doing my world record-breaking suspension, and I remember all of Vegas when we went to the awards show together, and all those days we spent together. I mean, there was just a lot of really special moments, and they all stick out in my mind. But as far as conversations, the 4th of July, definitely, that was the one. That was some wild, deep, crazy, emotional exchanges up there that night.
So, did making this documentary feel like reopening a wound, or did it feel like actually dealing with one?
It's more dealing with the loss because I do feel guilty a bit about not being able to do this for them when they were alive. I feel guilty about the way that it ended with all of us. It gets into it in the movie. I wish I made different choices, but it may have not made one bit of difference. We never had a full falling out or anything like that, but I've made it very public that we mutually decided to take a break prior to getting back to the movie. And I wasn't around a lot in that last year. And then I wasn't around a lot in the last year of Tara's life. We absolutely reconnected and everything was fine at the memorial, but it was just a very difficult thing to get back to after everything that we went through. And I wish I would have pushed harder in that circumstance to reach out and try to make it okay for her, which I didn't. So those wounds were opened up. In retrospect, you say that you would have acted differently, but back then I thought I was doing the right thing in every case. I didn't know any better. I just knew what we were going through at the time and made the best decisions that I could.
If they were sitting here right now, what would you ask them?
Hey, did I get this movie right?
Okay.
Because I dream about them, and that's what I ask them. I actually say to them in the dreams, "Hey, I'm working on this part of the movie right now. What do you think of this?"
Do they respond or do you wake up?
Yeah, absolutely. I have production meetings basically with them. It's crazy. I haven't for the last couple of weeks, but it used to be like about once a month. I figure that when I need to talk to them about things, they pop up in my dreams. Other than asking them questions, I feel their presence while making this because I've told the story, multiple times at this point, but it's always worth repeating. Like this room that I'm in right now is my editing room, but it used to be my bedroom. And when we did all the close-ups in Assassins of Youth, when we shot those, that was done right over there. So Wayne and Tera at one point, were sitting right there over against this wall. So when I'm working on the movie, their physical beings used to be right in that spot. I swear I feel them over
Does
in
that
this area.
does that scare you or does that bring you comfort? Like,
It doesn't scare me at all. It's just wild to me that I can literally sit in the room that they were sitting with me at one point and look over here in this space, and this is where they were, and I don't know if that was meant to be or whatever, because now my station's here and it used to not be here.
huh.
It used to be downstairs. And it's weird because it feels like they're looking over my shoulder, as I'm doing this.
So that brings you a sense of comfort and like, do you feel like, so are you saying that you feel them right now?
I mean, not right now because I'm talking to you right now.
Okay, yeah.
But when
No.
I'm done talking to you and I eat my lunch and then I jump back up here for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it's going to be, yeah, they fill this room, man. They fill it when I'm working on this movie. You also got to remember, man. I know you obviously you and people don't know this, but I'm surrounded by a half shell of screens. I have literally 3 screens,
Oh, wow.
and it's all them on each screen, and then they were physically right here. So I'm enveloped, by them and with them, while I'm making this, and I'm watching them and seeing them and hearing them, and then I'm feeling them and feeling their presence as I'm doing all this.
So if they could answer all that controversy themselves, what do you think they would say?
Oh, I absolutely think that first of all, Wayne would be like, "Fuck having that robot sing for me," and that's bullshit. I think he'd probably say, "I don't want to play with Tony, the bass player, anymore." And then I think he'd say, "I absolutely want a memorial out there, a show keeping my image and my music alive, but I think it would just be done very differently." And I think him and Tera would both say, "Yeah, let Matt's movie get out there. We wanted it out there. We chose him for a reason. Tera literally left instructions, for me to do it. So yeah, watch this if you want to know the truth, or at least our truth, to be fair, and what we want to tell you, because that's what they wanted to do." And for people, you'll hear this in the movie, but they also wanted a biopic made about them. And, this is all stuff that they said when they were alive to multiple people.
Hmm.
So anything that the band tells you, management tells you, there's people that will tell you otherwise. Listen to the people that were actually in their life and were actually around them during those last 7 years.
So your own career is wild enough to be a documentary. Society one, directing, suspension performances, controversy, extreme art. Did you choose chaos or did you think chaos chose you?
Well, first and foremost, there already is a documentary about my band. It came out last year and it's on Prime Video right now.
Oh,
You
wow.
can go watch it at everyonediesthemovie.com, but it's a bit racy, so younger people probably shouldn't watch it. It's on Prime Video. It was #1 on Thunderflix for a couple of months. It's also on Relay, also on everyonediesthemovie.com. But there's a censored version on YouTube that you can go watch, but it's just basically a big censored over most of the screen. As far as controversies following me, yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, everything I do, man. I'm hoping my next movie after this, I can take a little break, to be quite honest with you. I've already been called for a very big project by a very big star, and I'm hoping it's just going to be a nice,
Mellow.
mellow, but interesting and powerful story. But I'm hoping not to get attacked daily by hundreds of people regarding it, which I don't think I will. Um, but we'll see what happens. You never know with me. Everything I seem to touch gets tons of controversy just swirling around it.
Now, with getting all that hate and just like you just said, getting hundreds of messages of a day, does that like fuck with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it doesn't fuck with me to the extent that I'm gonna quit or I'm gonna stop or it prevents me from doing my day-to-day stuff. The only thing that it does to me is it makes me angry because I just wish I could put the movie out right now. So all these people saying all this asinine shit to
Shut
just
up.
go, holy crap, okay, well, I guess I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? I guess he really did know them. Oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, I never saw this, I never saw that. Because it would just quell a lot of the dissonance that is around the project and a lot of the hate that comes towards me. So yeah, I think it would affect anybody. I think it affected Tera, a lot. It's my personal opinion that it was partially what drove her to do what she did. But as far as actually like ruining my day or preventing me from doing what I do, no. Like I'm so used to it, dude. I got so much hate for my last movie last year that I put out that, it's all the same. It's just another day and another person in line hating Matt Zane. It really means nothing to me. I said in my book that was released about me last year, I said it's just like the sun rising and the moon falling. It's as it's as it's as inevitable as those things. And just like the sun rises and the sun falls, so will all these things that people say. And then it's a new day.
Now, were you actually trying to shock people, or were you just trying to wake them up?
And what, this movie or my last movie?
Just your career overall.
Oh yeah, yeah, I was definitely a shock rock artist for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, I love G.G. Allen and Iggy Pop and you know all those cats. But yeah, I was totally into it. That was totally my thing for for years. Yeah, again, you may have to get permission to watch my movie, but if you watch it, you'll get it.
Mhm. At what point did Matt Zane become become more of than a musician than and become almost a character people reacted to?
Oh, probably back in the '90s. You know, because I know you're too young. I know you're very too young, and I'm not saying that in a way that like you won't understand. It's just you weren't around. But
Yeah, I know.
in the '90s, I was on VH1 and MTV like all the time,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't make a lot of sense to you. But back then, there really wasn't the internet, so everybody had to watch TV, and there was only so many channels. So when I was literally on two of the biggest music channels simultaneously, I became more of a character versus anything else, and that's when everybody just started hating me from that point forward. So that was it. It just happened in the '90s. But that was like, literally it started 30 years ago almost. So a lot of people now that are younger like you, they don't even realize it. They just think that I'm just this guy that people hate. So you'll get these comments going, oh, you're a loser. Everybody hates you. Nobody knew you before this documentary. You've done nothing in your life. And then I go, oh, well, here's a link, watch this. And then I go, okay, well, you mean nothing besides direct music videos for Wayne Static, Static X, John 5, DMC, commercials for Zach Wilde, John 5, photographing the Doors, blah, 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 whatever all these things I've done, win this award, do this movie, last movie on Prime, like they just don't know. And I get it because they're just too young to know. You did a little bit of your research, but you still missed a lot of stuff that you didn't even know there was a documentary about the band,
Mhm.
and but the movie I did before that won an award at a small film festival. So that's another thing people don't even realize. So it's just I'm just a character that people just like to hate without researching, thinking that I'm just a guy that people hate. That
Uh-huh.
this is just what I do.
What do you think people misunderstood about Society One in the beginning?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
What do you think people misunderstood about Society One in the beginning?
That it was a fake band.
Hmm.
Because we came out of the adult industry. So they just thought that it was maybe like a fabricated band like the Monkees. And I know you probably don't know who the Monkees are,
I
but
know the Monkeys.
yeah, like a TV band.
Yeah, I actually
Uh,
learned about that in music class. It was like kind of crazy.
yeah, yes. People thought it was just a TV band, but a porno TV band. So that was like the biggest misconception about it. So when that ended and then we became the Suspension Band, people were like, this is a real band? They actually write music and play music?
Did that controversy help Society One, or did it just put it on a ceiling about how serious people took that band?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely had a ceiling to it. We weren't respected by any of our peers, and there was a lot of issues back in those days. And then we reinvented ourselves and came out as a suspension band, and then it was just like, okay, great, but then they just moved the goalpost. It's just a gimmick band. They're just a suspension band. So it just never really ended. And we tried to get beyond it, but we weren't able to. And then we did a bunch of other stuff that had never been done in music history before, and it just never was enough. So we just decided to make the movie and just say, okay, well, here's the movie, here's the book. And now maybe in 10, 20 years, when people of your generation let the stigma go and look at it with objective eyes and listen to it with objective ears, maybe the perception of us will change and we'll get a little more respect and appreciation, recognition. But I'll be 70 years old by then anyways, and it won't matter. So I don't even really think about it anymore.
Now, do you ever think that you actually went a little too far? Or do you think people are just not ready?
I just don't think people were ready for it because too far is always just the first person that goes that far, and then it becomes rock history.
Hmm.
Jim Morrison, went too far. He was arrested on stage for indecent exposure, and he didn't even technically do it. And people say that he went too far. Now he's arguably one of the greatest frontman of all time and one of the legends and one of the first people to ever do it like he did it. And then it went too far with Iggy Pop, and then it went too far with Alice Cooper. You know what I mean? So there's always people that initially go too far, but then later down the line they get the respect and recognition that they deserve. But with me, it just never happened that way. 20 years ago, when I played Downloader 21 years ago in front of 80,000 people suspending, first guy ever to do it, people just decided to just file it away and put it in a drawer and never give me credit. Just like so many other things that I did on stage for the first time, nobody's ever done. So it just is what it is. Do I think that it went too far? No, it just hasn't been recognized yet. And that's it.
What does Society 1 mean to you today compared to when it started?
I don't even really think about the band when I'm making a movie. So it's hard to answer these questions now because my mindset's in director, editor mind mode. My band's cool. I love my band. I have to put it on the back burner. Right now, it doesn't mean anything to me because I'm making this movie. I'm in director mode. Because I'm a legit director, dude. I've done 250 music videos, multiple commercials, tons of photographs, couple movies. So I'm not a massive, huge director like some other people, but I am a real legit director, and I'm just in directing mode. So when you ask me that question now, I just say, oh, whatever. It's whatever. It's just the band that I'm in. Ask me next year when I may be doing the band again. Maybe we decide to do a string of shows and another movie or whatever. Then I'll have a completely different answer for you. I'll be like, oh yeah, let me tell you about this and that or whatever and what it means, or maybe I'll write a song that I'm really proud of or something, But right now, man, it's about Wayne and Tera. That's the mindset.
So, well, I'm still gonna ask you a couple more questions about just like music.
Sure.
Do you think heavy music has gotten too safe?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure, yeah.
Do you think bands are afraid to offend people now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Because you got to remember, man, at the end of the day, all these bands, all these people, it's all money. It all comes down to money and how you live, and nobody wants to work at a burger joint.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I don't blame them because they don't have a skill set like me.
Yeah.
I can make my band do the most insane, stupid crap ever, and at the end of the day, I can go get hired by Kiss and go shoot them or John 5, you know what I mean? Or Wayne or Static X for that matter. And I can still make a living. So you take those other bands and, they start offending people and saying stuff and doing things. And next thing you know, they can't live in their houses anymore and they got to get a side job. So I don't really hold it too much against them.
What did directing teach you that that being in a band could never?
Just how to take the focus off of yourself and try to envelop all that the subject matter is in a way that the thing that you're directing is perceiving it and how they have to interact with it. It's a lot of stepping outside of you to lift up and focus in on something else. And the band is always very much about you, especially being the lead singer and writing all the lyrics and stuff like that.
What makes a music video boring?
I just think that's something that is just very typical, trite, usual. But at the same time, even a boring music video can be a big success if the song is great. I think it's almost impossible to make good music videos these days because you can make technically great music videos with awesome visuals that would have been amazing 20 years ago. But now there's just so many out there that it's just tough to make something that's unique. And trust me, I fall into the same problems sometimes, because like there's just so much great stuff out there that's not great anymore because it's been done 1,000 times.
What matters more in a video, the story, performance, or attitude?
To the music, ultimately.
Do you think is just the most important now?
Yeah, it's got to be the music because, man, like, you can take. I think that a great music video would augment it. Like The Beautiful People by Manson, it's a great song, but that video, he didn't make that. That was the director. That was the DP. That was the art director. that brought that video to a level that had never been seen before ever.
Mhm.
And that was done by the visuals, but it was based off of a great song.
Um, who would be your dream artist to direct?
Um, hmm. I don't know. Maybe Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, probably first. Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
Beatles. Um, David Lee Roth would be fun from Van Halen.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those three guys.
Is documentary filmmaking harder than music videos because you cannot hide behind the style?
I mean, you can hide behind style, but it's definitely more difficult. I mean, it is a massive undertaking, especially when you're working in post with such a limited crew. The Billy Idol documentary that just came out had 10 editors on it, and that's not including the colorist. My documentary that I'm working on right now is longer, and it's just me. So it's a lot more difficult. But it's also more difficult too because you're crafting a narrative. When that narrative is crafted for you with the music videos, and even if it isn't, and it's completely separate from the idea of the song, you still have a very limited time to work within. Whereas documentaries are much longer.
What is the wildest rumor you have ever heard about yourself?
Oh my God. Well, it's funny that you should ask that, and I can't believe I'm even going to mention this, but a rumor was started by the Static X management that I was the guy that gave Wayne the drugs that killed him.
Wow.
Yeah, which is insane because I didn't see Wayne for a couple months before he died, and number two, I don't do drugs,
Mhm.
and I never partied with them. Um, so yeah, it's just absurd. But it was put out there because they're trying to go to the worst case scenario right away. They're trying to make me the guy that killed Wayne because everything else thus far hasn't worked. But yeah, it's obviously not true, and anybody that was around at that time will tell you that I never partied with them. Yeah, I partied in the past, but never with them.
Has controversy mostly helped you or hurt you?
Hurt me for sure.
Mhm.
My last movie, I tried to get a publicist, and 13 publicity companies turned me down.
Wow.
Yeah, bands won't take us out on tour with them. A lot of people won't even pick up the phone. So yeah, it's hurt, but it's the path I chose, and I'm still here, and I'm still doing it. So it's not the end of the world.
Do you think you can even really shock people anymore?
Yeah, I do. My movie did.
Uh-huh. Well,
My
yeah.
last couple of shows last year did with some of the stuff we did on stage that night. It's just that you haven't heard about it because all the press ignored it and they refused to post about it.
What is something that used to be dangerous in rock and now it's just content?
I don't know, man. Like everything almost. I mean, when Iggy Pop first cut himself, that was a big deal. And now you can go watch any black metal band cut themselves and it's, nothing. You go
Yeah.
on Instagram and see all those bands now. You know what I mean? When I did Suspension for the first time on stage, it was a be-all, end-all. Now you can go see the Genitorturers or a bunch of other bands have Suspension artists on stage. Now it's just a thing. It's just not, it's really hard to shock an audience now. But it may get easier in another 10 years if there's not a lot of shock rock bands and shock rock bands come back. You know,
Yeah. If a young artist told you if they wanted to shock people, what
Mhm.
advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is go do all your research
Mhm.
and find out everything that's already been done and then go from there.
Mhm.
Because you got to find something that nobody else did. And that's what I did. I hung from hooks. Nobody ever did that before. I was one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to repeatedly sing upside down on stage every night.
Mhm.
I was the first person ever to have a fan cut me while I was singing with a knife. You
Wow.
know,
Mhm.
like that never happened before me. I was the first guy ever to have a phallus microphone stand on stage. you know, there was a lot of things that I did that had never been done before, and that shocked people. If you're going to be one of those artists, you got to go through all of it, and then you got to find some little thing somewhere that nobody had done before, and then you got to go do that.
Have you ever wanted a normal career, or do you think normal was just never going to be an option?
I mean, I don't know if you know how old I am or not, but it's getting a little late for me to have a normal career. Do you know how old I am or no?
Like, I would say the 90s. I would say you're 40.
I mean, you're guessing, so that's good. No, I'm 51.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I only got probably what 29 years left. I don't think any. I don't think that normal is going to happen in my lifetime.
Okay. I like that answer. If you were on death row, what would your final meal be and why?
Oh, what would I eat? Oh my God. I have a very restrictive diet, so this is a fun game for me to play. Lobster,
Okay.
um, definitely lobster. Steak,
Yeah, of course.
but I would want some desserts though too. You know, um, I don't know, man. Like that's just hard. Oh, sushi for sure.
Mhm.
Lobster, steak, sushi, but some desserts too. I don't know. Like I'll pick one. Like um, I used to love eating desserts, so I don't know. It's just so hard for me because I don't eat them anymore. So I don't. It's hard for me to think of one like what I would eat. Let me just say there would be lots of sweets,
Hmm.
and then like lobster, sushi, and steak, and then there would be some carbs too. Oh, like come on, spaghetti. You know, I'm half Italian, so I don't eat spaghetti anymore. So I'd eat some spaghetti. Don't get me thinking about all this because after this, I've got to go eat, and all I'm going to go eat after this is some chicken and some raw cheese. So
Oh, okay. Um, what is next for you after the movie, you think?
another movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do something with the band, but I can't think about it until the movie's done. This movie's too big and it's too much and it's too wild. I got to just focus all on this. Take a break from the band for a year. I'll get back to that. I'll do something with the band and then another movie.
All right. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time, and I really hope that movie gets out because
It,
I really think it would really enlighten people and just like be a wow, like wow, that's a shocker.
it's going to get out there, I promise you. I don't care how I have to put it out. I don't care if I go completely bankrupt making it. It's going to get done. I've made movies before. I've gotten them all the way to broadcast. So it's not like it's something that's impossible for me to do. I've already done it. I'm just doing it again. Don't let the hype fool you. Don't let all the hate fool you. Don't let all the false information fool you. It's just a matter of time. And for all those that are wondering, 2027, it's going to be the year. Don't know when next year it's going to be, but it's going to be next year. I can promise you that.
All right. Thank you so much again, sir. Have a good one.
You too.
Oops, sorry about